The African sun beat down on the savannah, a relentless hammer of heat against a world of red dust and golden grass. The air shimmered, distorting the endless horizon where acacia trees stood like ancient, gnarled sentinels. A light wind, carrying the earthy scent of dry soil and wild basil, rustled through the tall grass, a constant, low whisper in the vast silence. This was Kadipo Valley National Park, a place of brutal beauty and unforgiving law. For Jake, a young American park ranger fresh out of his training, this landscape was both a wonder and a profound challenge. His mission was simple yet critical: patrol the boundaries of the park, ensure the safety of the animals, and serve as a silent guardian against the ever-present threat of poaching. He drove his dusty Land Rover along a winding track, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of trouble, a rookie with a veteran's sense of duty. On this particular morning, a family of gorillas had ventured toward the savannah's edge, drawn by the lure of ripe, succulent berries. The mother, a powerful silverback, picked berries with a serene grace, her mind at ease in the peaceful sunlight. But the peace was a thin veil. A young gorilla, his eyes wide with the boundless curiosity of youth, sought a magnificent swallowtail butterfly. Its wings, a flash of iridescent blue and black, danced in the sunlight. Enchanted, the little gorilla slipped away from his mother's side, chasing the shimmering phantom deeper into the tall grass. His small, playful grunts were soon swallowed by the wind. He emerged onto the red dirt track, following the butterfly to the foot of a sprawling acacia tree. He was so focused on the insect that he didn't see the ancient predator coiled in the shade. It was a rock python, a colossal hunter, its scales the color of sun-baked earth, its body a silent, lethal knot of muscle. In a flash, the python struck, its massive body uncoiled with shocking speed, a blur of power that wrapped around the baby gorilla. A high-pitched, desperate squeal tore through the silence, a cry of terror that faded into a faint, choked gurgle. The butterfly fluttered away, a careless whisper of beauty leaving a trail of pure horror. The sound of the struggle, the rustling grass, and the faint cry carried on the wind, a beacon for any predator with an ear for opportunity. The wind can carry a whisper, or it can carry a warning. For Jake, it was the latter, a desperate cry that cut through the silence like a knife. He was a half-mile away, checking a section of fence for signs of damage. The sound was faint at first, a distant, thin wail. He stopped, his hand on the fence post, tilting his head to listen. It was a sound he knew instinctively was a signal of distress. But it was the second sound, a low, chittering growl, that sent a cold wave of dread through him. The unmistakable laughter of hyenas, a sound of opportunistic menace. He jumped back into his Land Rover, the engine roaring to life as he sped toward the source of the sound. The vehicle bounced and rattled over the uneven terrain, a desperate race against an unknown clock. As he closed in, the sounds became clearer, the guttural snarls and hungry calls of a pack of predators. He rounded a bend in the road, and the scene came into full, chilling view. In the middle of the dirt track, a massive rock python had a baby gorilla in its coils. The baby was barely visible, a tiny, struggling form caught in a vice of pure muscle. And just beyond them, emerging from the tall grass, was a pack of 6 or 7 hyenas. They fanned out in a semicircle, their shadows long and grotesque in the midday sun. Their eyes, bright and malevolent, were fixed on the struggling baby gorilla. The hyenas licked their lips, their hungry giggles echoing across the plains. They weren't fighting the python. They were waiting, their patience born of centuries of scavenging. This was not a fight for them. It was a feast waiting to happen. Jake's heart hammered against his ribs. The air, already thick with heat, now felt suffocating. He wasn't a soldier, a warrior, or a hero. He was just a man, a park ranger. But in that moment, seeing the innocence of the trapped gorilla and the cold calculation of the predators, he knew he couldn't stand by. He was a shield in a world that only knew teeth and scales. This wasn't just a physical struggle. It was a battle against the primal forces of nature itself. It was a test of will, where a single second could mean the difference between life and death. Jake slammed the Land Rover to a stop, grabbed a metal rod, and sprinted toward the scene. The hyenas glanced at him, their curiosity replaced by a low, threatening growl, but they held their ground. Their eyes were locked on the prize. Jake didn't hesitate. He lunged at the python, grabbing the great snake's head with both hands, his fingers digging into the unyielding muscle. The python, surprised by this new threat, hissed a guttural warning, its coils tightening even more around the baby gorilla. Jake could feel the immense, crushing power of the snake's body, a living engine of destruction. His muscles screamed with the effort, his biceps straining and his forearms trembling. Sweat, mixed with the fine red dust, streamed down his face. He tried to pry the first coil loose. The python thrashed violently, its slick, muscular body a whirlwind of power. It bit the air, its jaw snapping, its powerful neck muscles straining to break free of his grip. Every time Jake managed to loosen one loop, the snake would lash out, coiling even tighter around the baby gorilla. The helpless creature's small gasps for air were a desperate metronome, counting down to zero. A low, menacing chorus of growls rose from the hyena pack. The largest of them, a scarred veteran with a thick neck, lowered its head, its ears flattened, its teeth bared in a chilling grin. It took a single, deliberate step forward, its eyes fixed on Jake. The others shuffled, their bodies twitching, waiting for the signal to charge. Jake felt the pressure from both sides, the bone-crushing strength of the python in front of him, and the pack of hungry predators closing in behind. Time slowed to a crawl. The world narrowed to the sight of the python's coiling body and the sound of his own ragged breath. He caught a glimpse of the baby gorilla's face. Its eyes were open, cloudy with pain, but there was a flicker of something in them, a tiny spark of life. That look gave him a burst of strength. With a primal cry, Jake shifted his weight, using the last of his strength to twist his body and pull with all his might. The final coil, the one that had been holding the baby gorilla's chest, snapped loose. The python, finally defeated, let go, its body writhing as it was flung away. It hissed one last time before slithering off into the tall grass, disappearing like a ghost. The baby gorilla fell to the ground, its body limp, its breath a shallow, rattling wheeze. Jake scooped it up, holding its small, fragile body close. The hyenas, seeing their meal about to vanish, charged. They sprinted forward in a unified wave of teeth and snarls. Jake raised the metal rod and screamed, a raw sound of defiance that surprised even himself. He brought the rod down on the ground with a resounding clang. It was a futile gesture, but it bought him a moment. He then reached into his pocket and pulled out a flare, igniting it and tossing it toward the pack. The bright, crimson light and a small crackle of the explosion startled the hyenas. They recoiled, their eyes wide with confusion. They circled for a moment, their heads turning between Jake and the fading light. Before finally, reluctantly, they trotted away into the high grass, their disappointed snarls echoing in the distance. Every step was a prayer. Every beat of the little heart in his arms was a testament to the life he refused to let go. Jake ran, his lungs burning, the baby gorilla held tightly to his chest. The little creature was barely conscious, its breathing shallow and uneven. The small body felt so fragile, so delicate in his arms. As he ran, he whispered to it, "Hang in there, little one. Just hold on." He checked its pulse, a faint but steady rhythm against his fingers, and gently rubbed its back to stimulate its breathing. It was a race against the sun, against the trauma, against the clock ticking toward a final, silent end. When he finally stumbled into the patrol station, his body aching and his legs trembling, he rushed to the radio. His voice, hoarse with exhaustion, relayed the details of the incident. "We have an injured juvenile gorilla, snakebite and constriction. Urgent rescue needed." The dispatcher on the other end, accustomed to Jake's calm reports, could hear the desperation in his tone. Within minutes, a rescue team was en route. They arrived in a flash of sirens and flashing lights, their medical kit ready. They worked with practiced speed, giving the baby gorilla fluids and a sedative to calm its struggling heart. Jake stood by, a silent, weary observer, watching as the little life he had saved was placed in the care of professionals. He had done his part. Now it was up to them. Sometimes, the greatest stories aren't about the battle, but about the healing that comes after. This is the story of a new beginning. For 3 days, the baby gorilla was cared for at the rescue center, its small body slowly mending, its spirit gradually returning. The bite marks and bruises faded. Its fear gave way to the gentle comfort of its caregivers. The rescue team worked tirelessly, their dedication a mirror of Jake's own. And then came the day of the reunion. Jake was there, a quiet presence on the edge of the clearing. The rescue team had carefully transported the baby gorilla back to the area where its family had been last seen. The mother gorilla, a picture of silent mourning, had been searching for days. When she heard the familiar coo of her baby, her head shot up. She ran, a massive, powerful form moving with an almost impossible speed. She scooped her baby into her arms, her great hands cradling its small head, checking for injury, cooing with a sound that was a mix of pure joy and relief. The baby gorilla, nestled against its mother's chest, looked up with wide, grateful eyes, a flicker of its old curiosity returning. Jake stood at a distance, a soft, weary smile on his face. He wasn't a hero in a movie. He was just a man who chose compassion over indifference. He watched the mother and baby, a powerful tableau of unconditional love and a second chance. He hadn't sought glory or praise. He had simply answered a call for help. His act reminded him of a simple, profound truth. In a world of constant struggle, it is easy to forget the power of a single moment. His act of courage showed him that compassion is not a weakness, but the strongest force of all. The line between predator and prey, between instinct and love, is not as clear as we think. And sometimes, it just takes one brave heart to rewrite the rules of the wild.